All right, thank you so much, guys. You're welcome to our Zoom roundtable on gender. The theme of this event is Come Let's Reason Together, Nigerian Youth Rethinking Gender in the 21st Century. And like many of you know, this idea came after a status thread that I did on gender and gender inequities, and it was so spirited and it had a lot of engaging reactions. So I figured, wow, a lot of people are actually interested in gender issues. And so why don't we come together and just tease out some of the ideas that we have, kind of rub minds and see how we can progress? Because really, there is no doubt that historically there has been gender violence, gender oppression, and gender inequalities, right? And so if we are working towards a fair world, a more just world, then I think it's only necessary that we begin to rethink some of the things that we believe about gender. So that is why we are here today. Again, it's not a debate. It's not like you are trying to convince anybody. We are all here to just share our opinions and listen to one another. Because I think culturally we are losing that virtue of being able to hear one another out. It's like everybody believes strongly what they believe, and they don't want to accept any contrary opinion or even welcome, like even entertain any contrary opinion. Um, all right, without further ado, I will call on Tosin Ogunsanya to please open up this conversation. And Tosin will be speaking on socialization. Why do we raise boys differently from the way we raise girls? Thank you, Tosin.
All right. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. My name is Tosin Obusaya.
Hi.
And thank you for the invite and the platform. So one of the things that I've actually had to do since I had this conversation or the topic was actually reach out to a couple of my friends and try to understand their perspective, but from both genders actually, try to understand their perspective and know why they think we raise boys different than girls. And one thing that has been a consensus is that the realities that we have on ground dictates that we should raise boys differently from girls. So first of foremost, the two genders are different. So they have different expectations and we face different realities in life in the first place based on the way our world works. So for example, a boy will grow up to be a man, and if he chooses a father and an husband, um, a girl will grow up to be a woman, and if she chooses a mother and a wife. So, and those simple part shows that they have to deal with different things on their way to becoming a mother and a father. So that alone forms the foundation of why they have to raise differently. But when we dig deeper, we find out that there are different expectations and realities for both of them. So an example is ladies and girls are often told, warned repeatedly not to walk late at night, not to pass dark alleys alone, to be always in group of friends when they're going through places that are dark and things like that. I won't warned of certain places in particularly, but boys or men aren't given that same instruction, not because they can't be armed in those places or the same threats don't apply to them, but their realities are different. So, for example, the worst that would go I probably hope for a boy is probably being robbed, but for a female child, there's so much we can think about that's sad. So there's an issue of she can be raped, she can be robbed, she can be killed, kidnapped, and things like that. So because of that, a parent will likely more penalize his daughter or her daughter for staying up late at night than penalize his son, because he knows that she faces more risk outside of her house at that time than a boy would. An African proverb reads that it takes a village to raise a child. And that's the current situation that we have because of the current beliefs, wisdom, experiences, culture that's currently available in the world. It has ensured that parents have to prepare their children according to what they think they will face, train them with the tactics they think are necessary to face the battles that is peculiar to their gender. So this is, for example, girls are taught to speak louder because often the world will ignore their voices. Boys don't have that same training because ordinarily expected to dominate the room. But women are not expected to dominate the room. So in their training, in the curriculum or that is used to train most ladies, they are trained to speak louder. They are trained not to slouch because it makes them not look pretty. A lot of preparation go into ladies being ladies being natural. So they have to be kind, they have to be polite, they have to be sensitive, be able to make compromises and things like that. Because the world that we live in, or the reality that they are going to face or that are currently facing, they need those skills to be able to adapt. Because if the same training or skills are given to a guy or a boy child is given to them, they are most likely going to face a lot of opposition because they will stand out. Now, not because standing out is a bad thing, but each parent wants to protect their child ordinarily. So I want to protect my own daughter, and the way I am going to raise her, or I think I'm going to raise her, will be a way to be able to navigate the challenges she'll probably face um, easily without having so much, or without losing so much, or without being hurt so much. So one of the things I advocate for in schools or schools that have influences over is teaching girls how to protect themselves. So martial art, a little bit of martial art. Now, I was speaking to a friend and she was wondering why was I peculiar about teaching, why no boys, why was I peculiar about girls? Because I then tried to explain to her that how many times have you been inappropriately talked to or sexually harassed by anybody? She said, mentioned a few times. I said, would you have been more confident if you knew character, for example, to stand up to the person that was saying something? She said yes. I said that is the reason, because now boys rarely get harassed on the streets, rarely get sexually harassed or threatened. But girls, as from a very young age, get these situations over and over again, and they are very defenseless in most cases. So I was advocating for a way that they will not be.
Something, I'm sorry to interject, but I've been trying to get your attention with my little poster.
Okay, all right,
But please try to wrap up. You've
all
spoken
right.
for more than 5 minutes already.
Oh, I'm sorry. So that's why I'm saying the reason why boys and girls are being raised differently is because of the realities they are going to face and the expectations of the society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tosin. Thank you. Thank you very much for that wonderful offering. And that's a great way to open up this conversation. And I see Tinuke had some challenges joining the meeting, but I think she's here now. She's going to speak
Yeah,
next.
apologies.
Yeah, but I would like you to catch your breath. So maybe one or two comments from everyone, maybe with regards to what Tosin said or something else in general about socialization. What is the need to raise girls differently from the way we raise boys? While Tineko is preparing her remarks. Anybody? Okay, Kayode, Olu Kayode.
Okay, yes, rightly observed by Mr. Oluwatosin Ogusaya. It is true that number one, the our societies most of the time or always have always tried and made efforts to dictate how children or a girl child and a male child should be raised. But I also feel that there's also a need that regardless of how we understand the issue of a boy trying to be the provider and all that, and also a lady trying to be the wife and the mother and the daughter, like that, etc. We should also try to understand that as human, one thing that encompasses all of individual is that we all individuals are trying to survive. And one thing that should be common to all is that there should be a training on what I can describe or what should be described as survival instincts or survival training. I don't know if that connotes what I'm trying to express in the sense that everybody should be taught how to cook, how to relate, how to stay up, how to defend themselves, because everybody is always at risk. Like we say, man is a conflict-ridden species. Man is always at conflict with himself or with the society or with it's always at conflict vis-a-vis regardless. So I believe that at this world or at this dispensation or at this time that we are in, it is important that in as much as we want to teach these little idiosyncrasies that surround each individual or each gender, we should also try as much as possible to see that we all are human and have a training that encompasses all human being and see that, make sure that there's a training that cuts across that as long as you're a human being, you have to have this training and training like cooking, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olukayode. All right, Tinuke, are you ready for us now?
Yeah, I'm ready. Apologies. For some reason my internet won't come on.
That's
so actually I did a bit of good afternoon everybody for us in Nigeria anyway. So I was supposed to talk on why we raise girls and boys differently, socialization. And so I was doing a bit of research to understand so I feel like due to different cultures, religion and traditions, I don't know what anybody else has said because I missed the first part. I feel like we all raise boys and girls differently. So looking at cultures from Asia to Africa to European to North America, it was different research has been done as to why we raise boys and girls differently. But one major aspect that happens that is quite recurring in amongst all this culture is the agreement that girls tend to be raised differently from boys because of the ability to grasp faster. So girls naturally are just put because they tend to be more emotional, and by the way, before I say anything else, this is a disclaimer. This is an average, so it's not like everybody is this way. It's just like based on research, the average number of girls and the average number of boys do this and that. So one of the major reasons is that number one, with a lot of girls' brain functions, they tend to be more empathic. So I think that may lead to why most times, even the dolls girls play with or the toys they play with tend to be in the mother side of things. So you tend to be empathic. You want to play with a doll. You want to feed a doll. You want to carry a doll. And that I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, but it makes girls grow into that nurturing stage of cooking, cleaning, and all that. Whereas research shows that boys are more systematic. So their emotional is it upbringing or the emotional stage of their life does not develop as fast as girls. Maybe that's why this is again a discussion. I'm not sure of the conclusion. Maybe that's why their empathic side is not drawn because they are more systematic. So they don't know what it means to nurture. They're not keen on nurturing and all that kind of thing. And I think from my own culture, being a Nigerian, our parents play on that mostly in training boys and girls, because at the end of the day, if the boy is not nurturing, it will not be like get out of the kitchen. You are not balanced enough to learn certain things. So most times it allows the girls to enter the role of motherhood and taking care of everybody, doing this, whereas the boys are left to, take care of not take care particularly, but systematic things are put in place for them more than the girls. So the nurture part did that part. So now I think based on those research, alongside our culture and tradition growing up, it just makes us inevitably, we're now trained differently in school, in everything. But within recent research we have, lines have been blurred because now we have more women entering into this manly roles that has been set out by culture or tradition, and the other men, on the other hand,